Imagine a world where survival is a daily battle against nature's harshest elements. You stand at the edge of a windswept plain, feeling the sharp bite of the wind on your face as the scent of earth and danger fills the air. The ground beneath your feet is firm, but the land around you is alive with creatures far more powerful than you. Massive saber-toothed cats roam in the distance, while woolly mammoths shuffle across the icy terrain, their enormous forms a reminder of the predators that once ruled the earth. Everything around you is alive, yet dangerous. You are not at the top of the food chain here. You're just another member of a small, tight-knit group relying on one another for survival. Your tools are simple: sharpened stones, wooden spears, and the strength of your band is all that stands between you and the beasts that roam these lands. In this world, survival isn't a guarantee. Life is fragile, and every day presents a new challenge. Yet the question remains, how long could you survive in such a world? Did ancient humans, like the ones you see around you, barely scrape past their 30s, as popular myths suggest? Or did they manage to live longer, their wisdom growing with the years, shaping their communities and helping them endure? Today, we're diving into a topic that will shatter the assumptions we've all grown up with about the prehistoric world. You see, ancient humans didn't just survive, they thrived, often living long, meaningful lives, far beyond what we thought possible. Their elders were not only survivors, but the backbone of their communities, the unsung heroes who shared their knowledge, passed down wisdom, and made sure their people survived. You might think that the image of a prehistoric human dying young, exhausted by the brutality of nature, is etched in our history. Hollywood loves to tell this story, depicting ragged figures, their lives cut short at 30 by disease or predator. But recent research is challenging that narrative. It turns out that our ancient ancestors, from Homo erectus to early Homo sapiens, lived far longer than we've been led to believe.
To understand this better, we need to look at two important concepts: life expectancy and lifespan. Now, life expectancy at birth is a statistic we often hear, but it's a misleading number when applied to prehistoric societies. Back then, life expectancy at birth was low, often hovering between 20 and 35 years. But this number is skewed by one brutal reality: infant mortality. In prehistoric times, as much as 30 to 50% of children didn't survive their first 5 years due to disease, malnutrition, or accidents. These early deaths dragged the average down, creating the illusion that ancient humans died young. But here's where it gets interesting. If you managed to survive childhood, if you made it past the dangers of infancy and the harsh trials of youth, your chances of living into adulthood and beyond were surprisingly good. Life expectancy at age 15 tells a much different story. In fact, those who survived childhood often lived into their 40s, 50s, and sometimes even longer. And to put this in perspective, let's take a look at modern hunter-gatherer societies, where lifestyles mirror those of our ancient ancestors. Across 4 continents, researchers have studied the lifespans of 12 hunter-gatherer groups, and the results are fascinating. On average, 63% of children born survived to age 15, and of those, 68% reached age 45. Even more impressive, those who reached 45 could expect to live another 14 to 24 years, reaching ages of 59 to 69, not far from what we see in modern societies with advanced healthcare. This tells us that prehistoric humans who managed to survive the dangers of early life could live long, healthy lives, just as we do today. But what allowed them to survive in a world without hospitals, antibiotics, or grocery stores? How did they thrive in such a brutal environment? To answer this, we need to look at the evidence.
Picture this. It's a prehistoric dawn, and the sun rises over a rugged landscape of dense forests, winding rivers, and open plains. A small group of Homo erectus huddles around a fire, their faces weathered and their bodies lean from a life lived in constant movement. These are the earliest humans, hunting with crude stone tools, gathering wild plants, and facing dangers we can't even imagine. They live in a world full of predators, injuries, and the ever-changing whims of nature. Yet, some of them managed not just to survive, but to thrive into old age. Homo erectus, one of humanity's earliest ancestors, first appeared over 2 million years ago. Their technology was basic: hand axes, spears, and fire. And they lived in a world teeming with challenges. They matured faster than modern humans, reaching adulthood by their early teens, which likely shortened their potential lifespan compared to us. But despite these obstacles, fossil evidence tells a story of resilience. Take, for instance, the case of the Old Man of Dominici, discovered in Diani, Georgia. This Homo erectus individual lived over 1.8 million years ago and reached an advanced age, likely in his 40s, maybe even older. One of the most striking things about his remains is that his teeth had long since worn down to nothing. In a world where chewing raw meat and tough plants was essential to survival, losing your teeth could mean death. But this individual survived. He didn't die from hunger or weakness. Instead, his survival is a testament to something profound. Even 1.8 million years ago, our ancestors cared for their elderly. They didn't abandon the weak. They shared food, provided protection, and ensured that the wisdom of the old survived. And it wasn't just Homo erectus. Fast forward a few 100,000 years and we find the Neanderthals, close cousins of ours, who lived from 400,000 to 40,000 years ago. Neanderthals lived in a similarly harsh environment, hunting large animals like bison and mammoths, often sustaining severe injuries. Studies show that between 79 and 94% of Neanderthals experienced at least one traumatic injury in their lifetime. Yet, despite the physical challenges, some of them managed to survive into old age.
One of the most famous examples is Shanidar I, a Neanderthal from Iraqi Kurdistan who lived to be around 45 to 50 years old, despite suffering from multiple disabilities. He was partially blind, deaf, and had severe injuries to his arm and legs. In a world where survival often depended on being able to hunt and gather, Shanidar I couldn't do those things, but his community didn't abandon him. They cared for him. They fed him, protected him, and ensured he lived well into old age. This wasn't just a fluke. This was evidence of Neanderthal compassion.
As we explore the life of Shanidar I, it becomes clear survival wasn't just about brute strength. It was about compassion and community. The Neanderthals didn't just care for their elderly because they were weak or helpless. They cared for them because their elders possessed knowledge, invaluable knowledge that kept the group alive. Just as Shanidar I's survival depended on the care of his community, the survival of the group itself was tied to the wisdom that their elders could offer. The Neanderthal burial site at Shanidar Cave also revealed something remarkable: flowers. Shanidar I's grave was surrounded by pollen, suggesting that the group may have placed flowers there in a ritualistic act, not just to honor him, but to show their love and respect for him as a member of the community. This discovery shatters the common belief that prehistoric humans were cold and ruthless, simply struggling for survival. Instead, it paints a picture of a world where compassion, care, and social bonds were as critical to survival as hunting skills or physical strength. And the evidence doesn't stop there. The fossilized remains of another Neanderthal from the site of La Chapelle-aux-Saints in France show a similar story. This individual, aged between 40 and 50, was missing most of his teeth, a condition that would have made it nearly impossible to eat the tough, raw food that was a staple of their diet. Yet, he survived. His group supported him, providing him with soft food and ensuring that he remained a vital member of their society. These fossils speak not just to the strength of the body, but to the strength of the social bonds that held these groups together. But it's not just about the care of the elderly, it's about the role of the elderly in maintaining the fabric of society. In prehistoric times, elders didn't just sit idly by as the younger generation carried out the hard work. They were the keepers of knowledge, the storytellers who passed down crucial survival skills. Imagine a scene around the fire at night. The elder of the group, weathered and worn from years of experience, shares stories of past hunts, of dangers faced, and of lessons learned. Their hands gesture as they recount the tactics used to trap a mammoth, or the knowledge of which plants were safe to eat.
In a world without books, without written records, the memory of the elders was the only way to preserve the knowledge that kept the group alive. The young, hungry for wisdom, gathered around, learning everything they could, not just about survival, but about the world around them, the rhythms of the seasons, the behavior of animals, and the geography of the land they called home. Modern hunter-gatherer societies provide us with a glimpse into how elders were treated and how their knowledge was revered. Among the Inuit of Greenland and Canada, elders are highly respected for their wisdom, particularly in understanding the behavior of animals and the changing weather patterns. Their expertise in tracking and navigating the frozen landscape is passed down through generations. In the Amazon, the Shipibo-Kibo people look to their elders for guidance on medicinal plants, while in Australian Aboriginal cultures, elders act as mediators, resolving disputes and preserving the community's traditions. These roles, essential for survival in a harsh environment, likely existed in prehistoric times as well. The idea of abandoning the elderly when resources became scarce, the concept of geronticide, was a reality in some extreme circumstances. In harsh winters or during periods of drought, some groups did face impossible decisions, such as when to leave someone behind in order to ensure the survival of the rest. Among the Inuit, for example, some elders chose to stay behind during migrations, sacrificing themselves to guarantee the survival of the younger generation.
But such instances were rare, and far more common was the deep respect and care shown to the elderly. Even in the most difficult of times, it was understood that the elderly were a valuable resource. Their knowledge of the land, of tools, of food sources, and of past conflicts was invaluable to the survival of the group. These elders weren't burdens. They were the glue that held everything together. And when they passed, they were honored, their memories preserved in the stories they told, in the traditions they passed down, and in the survival of the next generation. This respect for the elderly was not just a luxury or an act of kindness. It was a survival strategy. The wisdom of the elders helped to guide the group, to keep them united in times of hardship. Whether it was through their knowledge of medicinal plants, their ability to craft tools, or their ability to mediate disputes, the elderly were indispensable. Their contributions ensured that the group could survive and thrive in a world that, at first glance, may seem unforgiving and brutal. As time passed and the world began to change, so too did the role of the elderly. The Neolithic Revolution, which began around 10,000 years ago, marked a seismic shift in human history. People began to settle in one place, domesticate animals, and farm the land. This shift from a mobile hunting-gathering lifestyle to a sedentary agricultural one brought new challenges. While the rise of farming allowed for the domestication of plants and animals, it also introduced new problems. Sedentary living led to nutritional deficiencies, and with larger, more complex societies came new diseases. As farming took hold, life expectancy at birth in some regions dropped to 20 to 25 years, lower than many hunter-gatherer groups. Yet those who survived into adulthood in these new societies could live longer lives,
with the stability provided by agriculture and a more settled lifestyle. But the role of the elderly didn't change. They continued to serve as vital members of their communities, sharing their knowledge and guiding the younger generations, just as their ancestors had done.
And so, the legacy of the elders lives on, from the toothless Homo erectus of Domini to the wounded Neanderthal of Shanidar and beyond. Their contributions were not just physical, they were emotional, intellectual, and cultural. They carried the stories, the knowledge, and the survival skills that ensured the continuity of their people. And in doing so, they proved that the strength of humanity lies not just in physical prowess, but in compassion, in community, and in the wisdom that can only come with age. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the lives of our ancient ancestors. If you've been as captivated by these stories as I have, I encourage you to dive deeper into the world of prehistoric life. What surprised you most about the longevity of early humans? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the past. The history of humanity is rich, and we've only scratched the surface. Until next time, keep exploring. The past is where our story begins.